In 1985, a man walked into a CIA safe house in Hong Kong and sat down for what would become one of the most consequential debriefings in American intelligence history. He wasn't a disgruntled clerk or a low-level bureaucrat selling secrets for cash. He was the head of China's counterintelligence operations against the United States. His entire job was to protect China's spy network in America, and he knew better than almost anyone alive exactly who was feeding secrets to Beijing. And he was about to disclose all of it to the CIA. His name was Yu Qiangsheng, and he was about to expose a Chinese spy who had been operating inside the CIA for 37 years without them ever suspecting it. The spy he was about to expose had no idea that Yu Qiangsheng was even a threat, and the thing that led directly to his downfall was his own loyalty to China. To understand how Yu Qiangsheng brought down Larry Wu-Tai Chin, you first have to understand one specific moment: a routine report filed in 1980. That year, Larry Chin, an asset of China but a CIA analyst in America who had been secretly passing secrets to Beijing for over 30 years, sent his handlers a routine update. A new CIA case officer had just been assigned to the U.S. Embassy in Beijing. Standard information, the kind of update a loyal source was expected to provide. In Beijing, that report landed on the desk of a senior counterintelligence official at China's Ministry of State Security. His job was to act on it. Standard procedure: identify the new CIA officer, make contact, and attempt a recruitment. That official was Yu Qiangsheng. What Larry Chin or no one in Chinese intelligence knew was that you had already, quietly, begun cooperating with the Americans. By reporting that CIA officer's arrival, Chin had handed you the perfect cover for his first officially sanctioned meeting with an American intelligence contact. No suspicion, no red flags, just a senior Chinese spy master doing exactly what he wanted to do, betraying China for CIA. But in that meeting, he wasn't trying to recruit a CIA officer. He was making himself available to be recruited instead. But you may be asking by now, why Yu Qiangsheng made that choice? Why a man at the top of China's intelligence hierarchy would risk everything to switch sides? And to understand this, you have to go back to his family. He was born in 1940 into one of the most connected families in communist China. His father, Huang Jing, was a senior revolutionary and a close ally of Mao Zedong. Years before he was born, his father had been in a relationship with a young woman named Li Yunhe. That woman later married Mao Zedong, Mao's fourth wife, and one of the most feared political figures in Chinese history. She drove the most destructive phase of the Cultural Revolution, overseeing campaigns that destroyed hundreds of thousands of lives. Yu Qiangsheng grew up knowing that his father's lover not only betrayed him, but had become the most dangerous woman in China. His younger brother, Yu Qiangsheng, would eventually sit on China's Politburo Standing Committee, the innermost circle that effectively governs the country. This was not a family on the margins. This was a family sewn into the fabric of the Chinese state. And the Cultural Revolution destroyed them anyway. During the purges of the 1960s, Yu's father was publicly humiliated and criticized in a mass meeting by Mao himself. He suffered a mental breakdown on the spot and died not long after. His mother was imprisoned. His sister, persecuted and psychologically broken, committed suicide. Multiple other family members were killed or driven from their homes. The party his family had helped build had consumed them from the inside. Yu continued rising through the ranks of the MSS, trusted because of his revolutionary lineage, given access because his family connections were unimpeachable. He became head of North American Counterintelligence, the man responsible for protecting China's spy networks against the Americans. But something had shifted inside him, quietly, irreversibly. His FBI handler described him as the ultimate risk taker. The reasons he chose to betray China were personal and ideological, and the CIA was careful not to probe too deeply because they had what they needed. And what they needed was the fire inside him against the Chinese regime. By the early 1980s, Yu Qiangsheng was operating on both sides simultaneously. The CIA gave him a code name, Plainsman, while continuing to run China's counterintelligence operations against the United States, while attending MSS briefings, signing off on operations, managing assets, He was feeding information in the opposite direction. What exactly he passed during those years has never been fully declassified. But at minimum, he gave the Americans their first real, systematic picture of how the MSS actually operated, how it recruited, how it communicated, what it knew, and who it owned inside U.S. intelligence. If you're finding this story as extraordinary as it is, subscribe and turn on notifications. We cover real cases like this every week. Now, here's where it gets even more specific. The information about Larry Chin came in fragments. You didn't provide a name at first, either because he didn't know it or because he was still building the Americans' trust before offering his most valuable intelligence. What he did provide was operational detail of a different kind. In September 1982, the FBI's China Counterintelligence Unit received a report. A US-based individual had flown to Beijing on February 6, 1982. Stayed in room 553 of the Qianmen Hotel. Met with a senior official from the Foreign Affairs Bureau of China's Ministry of Public Security. No name, just a trip, a date, a room number. That level of specificity from a source inside the MSS told the FBI one critical thing. Whoever this person was, China knew exactly who he was. This wasn't a suspected asset. This was a confirmed one. Someone Beijing was actively managing, meeting in person, trusting with face-to-face contact. The FBI spent the next 3 years quietly working backwards, cross-referencing flight manifests, hotel records, CIA personnel files, tightening the circle with each pass. The man who had taken that flight, stayed in that room, met that contact was Larry Wu-Tai Chin. 30 years, hundreds of classified documents. Nixon's secret diplomatic strategy handed directly to Mao, and it had come down to a hotel room number. By late 1985, the CIA had concluded that keeping you in place was no longer sustainable. His intel had made him extraordinarily valuable, but had also made him a target. The operation to extract him was given a name, Jade Powder. In October 1985, you traveled to Hong Kong, apparently to visit his French girlfriend. At Kai Tak Airport, instead of boarding his return flight to the mainland, he was taken to a CIA aircraft. No markings except a tail insignia, a small security detail, and one case officer. After he sat on the plane, the first thing he asked for champagne, but they only had whiskey. He drank the whole bottle. In Beijing, the reaction was immediate. Deng Xiaoping, who had personally overseen the creation of the MSS just 2 years earlier, was described as furious. One account called Yu's defection the most severe betrayal since the founding of the People's Republic. The inaugural director of the MSS was dismissed on the spot because the agency he ran had failed to see that its own counterintelligence chief was working against it. The new MSS director, when asked publicly to comment on the defection, said, "It's very regrettable." On November 22, 1985, 3 FBI agents arrived at a house in Alexandria, Virginia. Larry Chin opened the door himself. He invited them inside. The interview lasted 6 hours. He denied everything at first. Then, gradually, over the course of that long afternoon, he admitted that he had passed intelligence to China for decades. He was charged with 17 counts of espionage. The jury found him guilty on every single count in February 1986, the first person ever convicted in the United States of spying for China. He faced up to 2 life sentences and over $3 million in fines, but he never made it to sentencing. 2 weeks after the verdict, guards arrived at his cell in the Federal Detention Center in Manassas on the morning he was due for sentencing. They found him dead. He had suffocated himself using a plastic bag. He was 63 years old, and he had been passing secrets since his 20s. His wife later said that he had hoped Beijing might negotiate a spy exchange, the kind of Cold War trade that had been done with the Soviets. A belief that China would claim him, protect him, get him back, but they never did. In fact, when the case became public, China's foreign ministry said the charges had been fabricated by anti-China forces and denied ever having sent spies to the United States. In 2019, a mainland Chinese magazine published an article calling Larry Chin a super spy who had served Beijing faithfully for 37 years. His gravestone was later found in a Beijing cemetery. It identified him as a hero of Chinese intelligence. The country that abandoned him in his cell gave him a hero's burial after he was gone. Yu Qiangsheng was resettled in the United States. He was placed in a protection program, reportedly living for a time in a suburb of Los Angeles under an assumed name. He consulted for intelligence agencies across the Five Eyes for years. He was difficult, as defectors often are. In the 1990s, Chinese state media reported that he had been hunted down by Beijing intelligence agents and drowned in the sea off the coast of South America. Killed for what he had done. The US government never confirmed or denied it. Those who knew him wouldn't talk. Yu Qiangsheng once described himself using a framework from Sun Tzu's Art of War. There are some spies who gather from the enemy, and there are some who infiltrate from the inside. Some are turned and doubled, while some appear ordinary but conceal their true purpose. And then the fifth kind, the dead spy, the one whose life is expendable, the agent who is burned as part of the operation and may not survive their own usefulness. When asked which type he was, Yu Qiangsheng said, "I'm a dead spy, perhaps, but that is a decision for your agency."